Check from Wind Lake advanced to the men's championship final, and today it'll be either Gary Daroszewski of Fort Atkinson or Jeff Richgels from Madison doing the same thing, going on to meet Niall for our 32nd consecutive years championship title. This is, of course, the final semifinal match. The winner is based on the bowler rolling the high three-game score. It's a three-game match. And, of course, the further the bowler progresses in the tournament, the more money he earns. Today, for example, the loser will receive $2,000. The winner goes on for a shot at $6,000. In addition to that, Red Carpet Lanes provides money each and every Sunday. $50 for the winner of the three-game series, $50 each time a bowler wins a game, a $25 consolation prize should one of the two bowlers fail to win either of the three games, $100 bonus money for a 700 series, $200 for an 800 series, and should one of the two bowlers roll a perfect 300 game, he will receive, for the use of 1 year, this 1987 two-door Pontiac Sunbird SE, courtesy of Foster Pontiac. Now, the bowler who wins it selects the color, comes with a lot of equipment, obviously. Power brakes, rack and pinion steering, steel-belted radials, AM radio, 5-speed transition, 5-speed transmission, and much more. Other prizes, too, such as a high three-game series, longest string of strikes in one game, high single game. Tell you what those are later on. But now it's time to bring in Dennis. Dennis Wright, of course, Milwaukee Bowling Hall of Famer, provides expert analysis each and every Sunday. And Dennis, on the shadow ball they throw, they both got strikes, and I would assume we'll see a lot of strikes here today.
Yes, but both of them made an adjustment, I think, from the last time they were here. It would look like they were moved in a little bit because it seems the pocket not holding quite as much, tendency to go high. Both of them adjust very well and looked like they made the adjustment. Might be a little bit tougher today.
Well, we had a string of 700 series, and then last week a 675 by Niall Konachek was certainly not too shabby, but scores were a bit lower last week.
That's right. Well, we're getting into the bigger money, and, you can say the pressure doesn't bother me, but it bothers everybody. It really does. I don't care what level you're in. When the money gets big, the shots become more important, and you don't swing the ball quite as easy. Some people say it doesn't bother them. I don't believe it.
Okay. We mentioned the individual prize category, and on your screen now you see that the high three-game series rolled in this show so far this year is held by one of the bowlers here today, Jeff Richgels, with a 793. High eligible single, Niall Konachek at 279. And at the moment, we have a three-way tie for the longest string of strikes in one game. And Gary Daroszewski, who's on the show today, has achieved that status along with, I almost said Jill Albrecht. She's in the women's final. John Albrecht and John Megna. They had 9 consecutive strikes. Game number 1 of our three-game match is coming up right after you watch this. Occasionally, I talk with Dennis about the style of the bowlers on this show, the form, the way they get to the foul line. I want you to describe how Gary Daroszewski gets to the foul line.
Well, the first 2 steps look very nice, and all of a sudden you think he's going to stop. Then he starts 2 more. But he's got the timing down so well, it would appear that would be hard to keep in balance, but he's done a fine job with it, and he's a very steady bowler.
And, of course, turns the ball real well, and you always talk about the light ball he uses.
14 3/4 pounds, amazing that he carries as well as he does, but he gets a good loft on it. He can handle it a little bit better. If it's lighter, you should have better control. If you can combine them, and he's done it, that's why you get the good scores.
We're going to show you 2 people before we get underway here this morning, and first of all, our line judge today is Mickey Klappa. She's a student at Marquette University and is majoring in civil engineering. She works part-time also at Classic Lanes in Milwaukee, I guess to help pay for that tuition. And as a civil engineering student, if she wants a real project, here's George Vales, our official scorekeeper.
That's an ongoing project, Hank. No solutions.
Lanes 27 and 28.
Gary had his choice and going to start off in the left lane, so it looks like he'll prefer lane 28 just a bit.
This is the semifinal round of the Bowling with the Champs in 1986-87. For the third straight round, I got to bowl a guy that I have a good friendship with and some Kendor Fayball ties with, Gary Daroszewski. Of course, he was the man who went on the PBA Tour, opening up the spot that I eventually filled. sort of giving me the biggest break I ever got in my career, or most impactful break I ever got in my career, because bowling with Rich Wonders' group and all those great players was just everything to me as a young bowler who had so much to learn. And if Gary hadn't gone on the tour in 1982, that spot wouldn't have opened up, and I probably would have never got that break, and who knows where my career would have gone. So I always feel a debt of gratitude to Gary, and he paid me back. In 2009, he was part of the great Linz Limited team at that time with Lenny Borish, Dale Traber, Gary Daroszewski, or Gary, Gus Unaris, and Ryan Lever, and we had taken the team in team all events lead at the USBC Open Championships in 2009 out in Las Vegas. Didn't really think the team had that great a chance to win, but we didn't think there was any way our team all event score was going to get beat, and they beat us in both of them. Another team beat us in teams, so we actually finished third, but we finished way easily in second, and they were the only guys that came even close to our score and beat it. And so Gary kind of stole an eagle from me there, so maybe he paid me back for the break he gave me by leaving to go on tour. And on this day, Gary bowled one unbelievably huge game in the middle game, and I took the other two, I believe, but couldn't quite make up the ground to beat him. I made a big rally in the third game and had a chance, and then threw a shot that wasn't a good shot, and kind of blew my opportunity. But I really didn't feel like I bowled that bad, and it took just bowling a really good player having a really good day, or I would have been back in the title match of the Bowling with the Champs that year. And Gary went on to win, and deservedly so. He's a great player, and this was just a good match, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks much.
I have a lot of situations, I think.
Yeah, he is very, very emotional young man. Watch this last hit by Jeff.
Yeah, we get a lot of action off of the number 1 pin. There it is.
You know, a fair amount of deflection, which kind of surprised me. The head pin did go around the 5 pin. I mean, the ball did deflect and go around the 5. Not that time, though. It went right through the middle of the 5.
Well, he's piling up an early lead because he has all strikes, and Gary a couple 10 pins and 1 strike only.
Well, I'll tell you what, he could have a great year here if he keeps going in game number 1. How would you like to win the championship? And he's, 2 wins away from doing that. Roll a 300 game and get the car for a year. And he's already in line for the trip from Hughes Travel for 11 consecutive strikes in over 2 games. That'd be a great parlay.
In the meantime, another half hit for Gary Daroszewski, leaving the 10 pin. So maybe that inside angle bothering him just a little bit.
Well, if he hangs on to that high 3 with 793, and there's really only 2 more chances to beat this match in a championship, he would win the fishing boat from Lakeland Sports Center.
Yeah, and you talk about the $6,000, but there are other incentives that add up to a lot of money on the show.
Hey, you live in Madison, you got, Lake Monona and Mendota over there, and a fishing boat might come in handy. Carries the ball low to start off, and then he turns it and gets good action that time, all but 1. So he's not going to get the perfect game here in game number 1.
And he backed away from that one, Hank. He knew he did not throw it the way he would have liked. Almost tripped that 4 pin. So here you would expect this youngster to jump on it, and he did.
So Gary Daroszewski with 79 in the 4th frame, a strike up in the 5th. And we'll watch that last strike by Gary. Good action. And while we're watching that, Jeff converted his spare. So we're going to bring you up on Jeff's score. He's got 109 in the 4th after 4 consecutive strikes. Now the spare in the 5th.
Leading by 30, but I don't know if you noticed, but it seemed like he's stuck again on that spare conversion, and we haven't seen that since he's been on the show last. So it must be something in his delivery or shoes. And in looking at shoes, facing off to the right is Gary looking for a double, and he would love it right here. And he's got it. That takes away 10 of the 30.
Winner, of course, will meet Niall Konachek in our men's championship final. Niall was victorious 675 to 621 over Jeff Nimke last week. And the men's championship final will be held here at Red Carpet Regency Live, 7 p.m., June 13th. Winner to receive $6,000. So if you're in the area, come on down and watch the show, or if you're at home, by all means, tune into Channel 4 that night, 7 o'clock, June 13th. The men's championship final. The women's championship final is coming up this Saturday night, June 6th, 7 o'clock. Jill Albrecht against Kathy Bugrich. And Gary with a 3-bagger.
And that 14 3/4 pound ball had no trouble carrying out the left side on a relatively light hit with lots of power. Within 10, Jeff could get 10 back right here. No.
He could lose more than 10 right here.
That's what we talked about, Hank. You leave up or let up just a little on speed or position. It can go to the head pin a little bit quicker than we've seen in previous weeks. We saw a little bit of it last week.
With Jeff Nimke,
yes.
Yeah.
And he admitted as soon as he lost a little of his speed, he had trouble holding the ball back. And we just saw that with Jeff. We've got an even game, Hank.
Yeah, Jeff with a 4-6. Virtually unsparable. It's made occasionally, but the odds are real high against making that one. And he did not, and so he has an open in the 7th frame. And Gary with a 3-bagger going, trying to stretch it to 4 here in the 8th frame.
Starts with the ball very low, and not much of a push away, and a very short backswing, but a good loft, coming, and
no 10
not
pin.
Quite the full hit again.
His nickname is Arrow. They call Gary Daroszewski Arrow, not because he goes straight as an arrow to the foul line.
And
well,
again,
another dance by Jeff up at the foul line.
But he bounces back, and again, trouble with that sliding foot. But, you know, the unusual thing about it, we haven't seen it with any of the other bowlers.
Yeah, I remember one match we had, there was both of them. I think one of his opponents one time. But you're right, the last couple of times it's been solely Jeff's problem.
Yeah, I think when he bowled Terry Cullibert, Hank.
I think that was it, yeah.
Terry also had some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, we've got a 1-pin game in game 1, a chance for a double. Has it, and the lead.
And he knew it. So going into the 10th frame, Jeff Richgels riding strikes in the 8th and 9th. This is the 9th frame here on lane 27 for Gary Daroszewski from Fort Atkinson. 4-pin.
And again, that high hit just diving in a little bit too much, just a 4-pin, but pocket hit that did not carry. He's had 5 of them that have not carried so far, and 4 that have. And with that strike in the 9th, Jeff could pull out a big difference in a big game.
Well, going into the 10th, let's see. Well, it's pretty close.
10-pin advantage, but the nice part for Jeff is he can keep building. And he's hit this lane every time. He's carried it every time. That's more important.
And he
and he
carried
got
it
a big
again
break there.
because he got, I don't know which pin it was.
That had to be the
across.
head pin, but that
Probably.
was the light half hit. But he got a lot of action off the number 1 pin, the head pin, the king pin. Call it what you like. It's a turkey. And again, the high 4.
It just crawled up at the last, as you were saying. Not high enough to be a split, but enough to leave that 4-pin. Even then, he nudged the 4, but it wouldn't go down. So Jeff,
with all strikes on this lane, all strikes. He's wiggling it back and going to 240, Hank, and going to lead by over 30 pins, and it was just tied 2 frames ago.
yeah, it could change in a hurry, and that's despite an open. We saw last week Niall Konachek shoot a 253 game with a big open.
So it's all pocket hits for Gary Daroszewski, but losing by 30 to an opponent who actually had an open with 1 bad ball.
And he strikes out. Final 5 in that game were strikes. 247 for Jeff Richgels. And the best Gary Daroszewski can do is 216. And he does it. Well, Gary, if you look at the score sheet, had 4 10 pins, 2 4-pins, the rest strikes. And for Jeff, he had a 4-pin, the rest strikes, and then that big split. But the leader, 247 to 216 after one game. Jeff Riggle, stay with us. Game 2 coming up after some messages of our men's semifinal match on Bowling with the Champs. The winner of this match this morning advances to the men's championship final on June 13th here at Red Carpet Regency against Niall Konachek. And at the moment, the man to beat is Jeff Riggles because he has the lead and he's throwing strikes.
And he's throwing a lot of them on lane 27. All to be exact so far. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
He's done nothing but strike on 27. Gary Daroszewski strikes on 28.
Yep, 10 strikes for Jeff Riggles, game 1. 247, as Hank said, a 4-6 split in the 7th where he actually trailed Gary by a pin.
We talked to the bowlers before the match this morning, asked them about getting all the way to the semifinals. The pressure builds on them and what their reaction is to that. And here's what Jeff had to say.
I think with the situation we have here today, I think it's pretty much equal between Arrow and I. He's finished second. I've won it. So we've both been here before. I don't really think either of us is going to worry about the pressure or the money. We're just going to go out and make shots, and the guy that carries and bowls better is going to win.
Well, neither carried that frame.
That's right. And Gary didn't carry very well the first game. Jeff did. And a couple spares confronting the bowlers. A little bit tougher for that gentleman, but he did not throw it very well. That never had a chance.
No, he missed the 2-pin. He got the 5-pin that was there, but missed the 2, and it's an open and an opening for Gary Daroszewski. Puts him into the lead in game number 2.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is let your opponent pick up pins by him not doubling. In other words, just giving him a free one, and that's what happened to Jeff Riggles in game 2 so far, but he's been able to bounce back and loves this lane.
You can see why. I asked Gary the same question as you advance now all the way to the final 4. Does the pressure build when you think of all the prestige of the tournament and the money? Here's what Gary said.
Yeah, I think that the pressure increases quite a bit here, but it'll affect you just how you let it affect you. So if you don't let it bother you, it's not going to bother you too much. Also, I enjoy bowling under pressure. I like, the more pressure, I think the better I bowl because it makes me concentrate and bear down a lot more.
Well, he's not alone in that category, bowling better under pressure.
Oh, I agree.
Probably be in the minority. Would you say that if you were going to say take a percentage of good bowlers, what percentage would you say bowl better under pressure, what bowl less, or do you have any idea?
Yeah, I'd say about 15% bowl better.
15?
That's all I'd give it.
So you would say that 85% when the pressure's on, allow the pressure to have an effect?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody with a contrary opinion is quite welcome to write in.
Right.
Here's Jeff. There they go.
Well, he wasn't sure of that one either, Hank. Happy to get it. He pushed off the 10. He's had a couple breaks on what looked to be not real good pocket hits.
Going back through the year, as we look at the matchup here in this men's semifinal, Jeff Riggles started off in the first round defeating Gene Schuett 793. That's when he had his big series, which has stood up right from that first round through the rest of the year as the high 3. Good strike by Gary. Got the 10-pin out of there that time. If you're wondering what he shot for games in that big 793, he shot 238, 266, and 289. So if somebody knocked off his 793 for the high 3, he would have the high single. Another strike. Is he still perfect on the left lane?
Yes, he is.
He must have a 300 game there by now.
He's got 10 in a row, Hank, on the left lane. We're only halfway through the match.
Watch Gary's last strike, and the 10-pin's up for a while.
Yeah, it looks like it brushes right in front of the 6-pin, or the 6-pin will brush right in front of it, and did, and took it out.
And Gary has the 3-bagger going. Both bowlers do. Gary's looking to make it 4.
Gary makes it 4 and continues to put a little of that pressure that we're talking about onto Jeff Riggles.
Yeah, he trailed by 31, was it? Yeah, certainly not insurmountable. And he's got some of that back as a result of the open by Jeff in the second frame of game 2. Jeff's trying to match him strike for strike and does. They both have 4-baggers going.
So 12-pin lead for Gary. That's the way it was in the second frame. Nothing's changed. going into frame 7.
After defeating Gene Jewett, Jeff Richgels defeated Terry Coolibert. That was a close match, 6-14 to 6-07, and Jeff seemed to be off his feet that day. You remember you say sometimes you don't know which Jeff's going to show up. He didn't seem to be his typical confident
he had
self.
a bad run on the Pro Tour for a while and didn't have it all together, but won it. And Gary continues to put it on Jeff, who's answered it very well, except for in the second frame.
Then in the quarterfinals, Jeff Richgels won 688 to 584 over Daryl Meisel. And here he is looking for his 5th in a row, and no, he's got the 4 and the 7 up there. 7's wiggling, but it's not going to fall down. Gary Daroszewski, meanwhile, in his first round, won 708 to 682 against Rick Babler. And we'll watch that first ball by Jeff.
Yeah, look right there, it was okay, but just a sharp turn and not even a count. Spared it. Trails by 24 in this game, so we've got it down to a 7-pin difference.
And you will remember, Dennis, and a lot of our viewers will too, I'm sure, Gary Daroszewski's second round match against John Megna. He won it 751 to 748, and after the first game, Megna shot 278 in the first game. Daroszewski shot 227, so he was down by 51 pins. Then he came back with a 255 to Megna's 247, so he still trailed by a significant margin going into the third game, and Megna rolled 223 his third game. And Gary shot 269 to win it 751 to 748, and he now has increased his lead here in game 2 against Jeff Richgels.
Yeah, he's increased it to the position that he leads in the match by about a half a mark.
Jeff back with a strike. In the third round, the quarterfinals, Gary Daroszewski won over Dave Albrecht and had to bowl well to do that. 756 to 700 on the nose. And good games by Gary in that quarterfinals. 256, 235, 265. And here he is going for his 7th consecutive strike here.
And a big frame. He wants one in the 9th. Yes, sir.
That's 7 in a row. He could strike out in the 10th and take over. Well, what could he get for a game?
He could go 280, Hank.
That would knock off the 279 high single that's held currently by Niall Konachek. Well, a lot of things could happen.
He knew that was bad.
Oh,
And
a little slower, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. He threw his hands up and went right through the middle and digging himself a little bit of a hole here after leading by 31. Big turnaround in the 9th here.
Well, and he imminent danger of an open, and now he's sticking again or whatever. He's checking his shoes and the approach, but amazingly it doesn't seem to be bothering Daroszewski at all.
Not with 7 in a row. 2, 4, 6, yep, 7. Strike in the first. Nothing out of the 1-3 pocket for Gary Daroszewski as yet. He could go to 280, as Hank said. New high single, and it would also have a shot at the trip or a roll-off.
Yeah, or the high longest string in one game.
Yes.
Yeah, which would now how many is that? That's 8.
That's 8.
And Arrow is doing nothing but roll X's here.
He's shooting that arrow right through the center of the 1-3.
You got that. And Jeff, meanwhile, has run into.
Doesn't throw the ball with a lot of confidence on the right lane. He's got away with a couple shady ones.
But of course, that one on the left lane deserted him in the 7th and 9th frames after he'd been perfect. And Arrow continues to roll strike. 9 in a row. Is that 9?
9 in a row. This could be 10, Hank. He'd only need one more for a roll-off.
Well, we'll also have to check now if he rolls a high single. We'll have to check how many consecutive strikes Niall Konachek had.
That's right.
So a lot of things can happen here. This
Big
is
strike.
10 in a row.
Good speed. Good speed.
He got it. 10 in a row.
He's going to win this game by 72 pins. Trailed by 31. He's going to lead at least or win it at least by 72, depending on Jeff's count. But what a game!
280 for Gary Daroszewski. 280. 202 for Jeff Richgels. What a turnaround in game number 2. Winner advancing to the men's finals. A big 280 game. The new high eligible single game on the show this year. And he needs one strike right here to tie Jeff Richgels for 11 consecutive strikes in more than one game, if necessary. for a trip to Puerto Vallarta from Hughes Travel.
High.
You called it, Dennis.
Just that
You
high.
called it. 4-pin. And Jeff remains alone with the only man to roll 11 consecutive strikes.
Oh,
And
that's
he's
tough
up.
to go that far. Yeah, he deserves a hand. Give it to him.
Trip to Puerto Vallarta. He had rolled 10 consecutive strikes, left a 4-pin starting game number 3. And we checked the 279 game that was rolled by Niall Konachek. He had 8 consecutive strikes in that game. So the high eligible number of strikes in one game, another dance by Jeff at the foul line, and this time it's on the right lane, belongs now to Gary Daroszewski with 10 in a row. So he has replaced that. He was one of the 3 that were tied at 9 in a row, and he's all alone now at 10 consecutive strikes. And the prize for that, should it hold up through this game and the next championship match, is a 26-inch Philco remote control stereo television from Merco Corporation.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a nice
Guess
prize.
not.
Jeff almost missed that one, Hank. Again, having trouble with that sliding foot. 47 pins. Not safe with either of these two bowlers. Rather have it, though, than try and getting it back. This is his lane.
He got the 10 out of there with the 6 pins help, and so it's a strike for Jeff. And going into this game, even though he trailed by 47 pins, he had one more strike than Gary.
Yes, 17 to 16. Gary got 11 of them in the second game.
I'm sorry, you notice Gary there and brushing off the bottoms of his shoes. That has nothing to do with him sticking. He does that all the time. It's a kind of a
Idiosyncrasy.
Yeah.
He just habit of some sort.
habit, yeah. Good luck, maybe maneuver. A ring and 10 pin.
Yep, good hit, and he has not missed the pocket as yet. He's had 10s, a couple 4s, and a bunch of strikes in game 2.
And we'll watch this classic 10-pin tap.
And again, Hank, that 6-pin very low, right around the fat part of the 10-pin.
Now it doesn't matter whether it goes low or high, I guess. If it goes
That's
around
right.
it, the result's the same. Yeah, if nobody ties Jeff or we don't have that roll off for that trip he'll stay at the Crystal Vallarta Hotel. 1 week vacation for 2 in Puerto Vallarta. 25 acres of relaxation, fun, and entertainment. Round trip airfare from Milwaukee provided by Northwest. So it's, so far, it still belongs to Jeff.
Not going to get back.
Yeah.
Take that back. That head pin did a bunch of work.
Well, we forgive you because you did call the 4-pin in the first frame.
He had a little bit different angle on that lane 27, that ball, but it worked, and that's what counts. And this lane has been giving Jeff trouble, but he got the double, and he's got 10 back.
Entries have now closed for next year's tournament, and you heard Gloria Bear say a good field and pretty close to last year, which probably mean 2,700 men entering, and only 32, of course, make the televised portion of the show, and then you all end up with just 2 in the finals. And at the moment, Gary Daroszewski leading in that category, but here comes Jeff Richgels.
Yep, but he's only minus 26 right now, so he's got 21 back.
This is a strike Gary threw on 27 in the third frame.
Just got a piece of the head pin. Looks very light right here. Still very
It does,
light.
yeah.
And that, believe it or not, is with less than 15 pounds of bowling ball.
On the right lane this time, and a 10-pin leave again. So he can't get a double here in the third game, and it is opening the door a bit for Jeff Richgels. He's going to go up and get that spare, and then we head into the 5th frame of the third game. And if Jeff can get up there and get a strike with his first ball in the 5th frame, the pressure we were talking about earlier will be on, well, certainly both of them, but it'll kind of slide back to Gary, because if you take the momentum factor, the momentum will have shifted back to Jeff. That's all if. A lot can happen. 5th frame, third game means it's Miller time. Miller, made the American way since 1855, presents special awards for bowlers who get strikes in the 5th frame of the third game throughout the season. And crowd pleaser party pack, I guess you'd call it. Crowd pleaser set goes to Gary Daroszewski. Bounces back with a strike in the 5th. But in this game, he's gone spare, strike, spare, strike. There's the crowd pleaser, the thermos bottle, and the carrying case and the umbrella and the beach blanket. John Hepler at Miller provides our prizes, and we thank him for another year of outstanding awards. And he has to give away 2 of them this morning because Jeff Richgels has got a 4-bagger going and has moved within
16 pins.
Wow.
And Jeff has got a ton of those Miller prizes for the years.
Yeah, he usually always gets that strike in the 5th frame of the 3rd game.
And he's back to the lane that he just about owns.
Not this time. No 4-pin. He was running it out. He was hoping it would carry that 4. It didn't. And again, Dennis, as you had said earlier, a little more break right at the end today.
Yes, there is. And boy, that was the one that would get him right there. And
what's this one? Oh, it's coming.
Oh, it came a long ways. A little bit shaky, but it's there. And now Gary can do a little damage again. He has the advantage with the strike up. Jeff really wanted that one.
Brett Falconer, the corner man there, watching on for Jeff Richgels, and we got a couple of corner people over there for Gary Daroszewski,
yeah,
including
got Bruce Jorgensen and the owner.
Phil Presti.
Oh, and that half 10-pin hit again would not trip it over.
Would you say that maybe that time he was trying to fit the ball? It kind of looked to me
Yeah, it
like
looked that way. And you just, and it's tough to be real loose and nonchalant right now. There's big money right here.
Jeff looked a little loose to me on that 4-pin spare conversion.
Oh, yeah.
His form left a little bit desired, but he got it. And Gary has the 10 pins. And so 99 through 5 frames, a spare up in the 6th for Gary Daroszewski, 129 for Jeff with a spare up in the 6th. And so the difference in this game is 30 pins. The difference in the match is 17. 4 frames to go.
4 big ones.
Here's our leader. He's been in the championship final before. He wants to go back again and take on Nal Konachek. High, but he got it.
But he tripped the 4, that's right.
Oh, I thought that would look exactly like the delivery in the first frame where he left the 4, but something got the 4-pin from behind.
Well, that was a 2-pin, but you'll watch the first pin to the left of center, and this is where maybe the lighter ball may help you. You get just a little, you should
Got
get
both
more
of them.
deflection. Yep, right.
It first of all knocked over the 7, and then it kept turning and knocked over the 4. And so it's a big strike in the 7th frame for Gary Daroszewski. And here's Jeff Richgels trying to match it. Does. So the difference remains 17 pins in favor of Gary Daroszewski in the match going into the 8th frame of game number 3. This one is going to go right down to the wire.
And let's see, does Jeff get a chance to finish on lane 27 twice? Yes, he did, because his opponent let him. So that might make a difference. Here it comes. Loves that lane.
Yeah, buried that one. Now the pressure swings back over to Gary Daroszewski. Can he match it and keep his 17-pin lead?
Kind of ironic that he forced Jeff to finish on that lane by choice, and it turned out that he's murdering that lane. But Gary does have the lead.
Jeff Richgels looking for a championship for the 2nd time in 3 years.
Well,
But
he loves the ball under pressure. That was that personified pressure shot.
so you got to put him in your 15% category,
Well, I
right?
put him up there, yep. And a few of these guys are all in that 15%.
How about George Vales?
Oh, no, no, Hank. You go 15 on the other end, you'll find George.
9th frame.
Yeah, big.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a big one.
I'll give Gary Daroszewski credit. Richgels made a run at him here, and it's not over yet, but that strike in the 9th frame, his 3rd in a row, has put him in the driver's seat. And while we go in, we'll watch Jeff bowl the 9th
Jeff
frame.
will almost need this one, Hank, to stay alive. If he does, he'll still have a shot.
9th frame for
Not
Jeff
his favorite
Richgels.
lane. Never got back. And
Dinner
that's the
bucket,
end.
and Gary Daroszewski has won. And Dennis Wright, I open up his pre-match prediction. He picked Gary Daroszewski, and so Dennis has picked both semifinals correctly. And your record now, sir?
25-11, and that's it for the year. We don't pick them in the finals.
Okay. 25-11 isn't too bad, Dennis. You get bowlers of this caliber. You could do that well at the racetrack, you wouldn't be sitting here.
You're right. Nice conversion for Jeff, but bad count coupled with the breaking of the string, and puts Gary into the finals. good match. Both of them answered pressure pretty well.
And interestingly enough, in our championship final, we're going to have two bowlers who've been in the final before, and neither one won.
That's right. One of them will change that,
Right.
and one will take the runner-up role for the second time. But that's really quite a coincidence. But you look at them bowl, and it's not really a coincidence.
Now, Jeff just missed that 10-pin, and that I'm wondering about this game.
Well, let's see. That's going to give Gary, you're right, Hank, one more strike. He can now win the game.
Cost Jeff $50 there, maybe that miss. Oh, a solid 8-pin. Now, we haven't seen that in the show for a few weeks now. What a factor that could have been if it had popped up at almost any other time in that string of 10 strikes.
You've got it.
In the 6th, 7th, or 8th frame in this match. But it came in the 10th, and it doesn't really make a lot of difference. He gets the spare.
He's also going to get bonus money, Hank.
But he's going to lose the game.
He's going to lose the game. But he won the match, and again, he trailed by 31 in the first game. And, you know, you trail to a bowler the caliber of a Jeff Richgels or vice versa. That's really tough. But came back with 2-8-0. Turned it all around in game 2.
That was the big difference, that 10-bagger in game number 2. And this game he rolls 218 to 222 for Jeff Richgels. And so 714 to 671 officially. Gary Daroszewski, our winner. He advances to the men's 14 to 672 for Jeff Richgels. He had 223 in that last game, which means, of course, that Gary advances to the finals. And Joe Jasper, the manager here at Red Carpet Regency, has some prize money. Joe?
Jeff, here's $100. Good luck on the tour. And for Gary, here's $200, and we'll see you in the finals.
Okay, Joe. Before I give out some money here, let's take a look at the screen now. Some things have changed. We've got the 793 hasn't changed for Jeff Richgels. He still has the high 3 for the year. A new high single, that second game by Gary, 280. And because he's got that award, of course, his string of 10 strikes doesn't count at the moment. And he has 2 players left there with 9 in a row. As you can see, that's Jim Albrecht is one of them, and the other is John Magna. What about, you asked Niall Konachek? He had a 279, which was the high eligible single. That did not include any more than 8 strikes. So an 8-bagger is all he had there. So he's out of the prize money, except he's in the finals. I hope you understood all that. If you did, write me and let me know what I said. We have $2,000 here for Jeff for, of course, making it to the semifinals on Bowling with the Champs. Jeff, the obvious difference, his 10-bagger in game 2.
Yeah, well, he threw the ball great, much better than me, I believe. I mean, he never had an open the whole day, and he never had less than a 9 count. He wasn't out of the pocket. He deserved to win.
You were also, though, still all alone with 11 consecutive strikes over the 2 games, and you were aware, I'm sure, that if he got one in the first frame of game 3, he tied you.
Yeah, well, then we would have had to have a roll-off, and then I probably would have had to fly home from the tour or something and spend more sponsor money, and I'm not making them much, and I didn't want to do that.
Now, when does the summer tour resume?
Mark McDowell and I will be opening up with the PBA doubles. That's June 6th to the 10th. I think I'm throwing the ball a little better. If I get a shot that's conducive to my game, hopefully we can have a better summer. But if things don't go better, I guess at the end of 1987, you'll see me back around here working a real job and leading a normal life and bowling for fun again.
Bowling for fun again. Well, we wish you luck out in the pro tour. We hope to see you back in the future, and the best of success on the tour.
Thanks a lot. Good luck, Gary. I hope you win.
And for Gary, we don't have a check as yet, but if you can roll as well on June 13th as you did today, it might be $6,000. Gary, we got an unusual situation perhaps in the finals in that you've been there before in the finals and lost. Niall Konachek has been there in the finals and lost, so one of you is going to have to be a first-time winner.
Yeah, Niall's plenty tough. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
You said we asked that question about bowling under pressure, and you said you enjoyed bowling under pressure. I would think that you proved that here today. With that 10-bagger in game 2, certainly, but I think probably there was more pressure when he was striking in the 3rd game.
Yeah, I didn't bowl real well today as far as execution. Phil helped me, lined me up a little bit. I was a little too deep, and I happened to find a little bit bigger shot and threw a lot of strikes in a row in the second game. But yeah, I don't know. I like bowling under pressure. It makes me. I have such an unorthodox style that it makes me bear down more, and then I can throw the ball more consistent. You know.
As Jeff was saying, I think you did not have any opens, and I guess strikes are important, but when it comes down to two guys that can throw a lot of strikes, those spares become very important, don't they?
Yeah, you got to make all your spares. That's for sure.
You're a good spare bowler.
On and off. Sometimes I have problems with 10 pins, but I think when I'm bearing down like this and it's really important, I try a lot harder. I miss fewer. So.
What are your plans between now and June 13th? You gonna do a little practicing here, or lay off for a while? What are you gonna do?
I don't know. We'll see. I'll be bowling in spring leagues a couple nights a week, so I'll keep bowling and I'll get ready for now. I'll bowl a little bit before then.
I know Phil Presti's your boss. He's gonna give you maybe a day or two off to get ready, or is he gonna work you till 1 in the morning on the Friday night preceding the show?
Oh yeah, we have the fish fry, so I'm in the kitchen and at the fish fry in Fort Atkinson, so I'll be there.
All right, so be sure to be with us on June 13th, immediately following the fish fry on Friday night. Gary Daroszewski will be here. Congratulations, Gary.
Okay, thank you, Hank. I'd like to thank everybody that came down, and you're all welcome to come to 13th Street, Classic Lanes now, so we can have a few drinks.
All right, Gary. That's our show for today, Bowling with the Champs. It's been brought to you in part by Foster Pontiac, South 27th and Loomis, per zone record so